Okay, welcome to the Varla Pegasus range test. We're also going to be looking at how this speed that is displayed on the display here compares to actual GPS speed. I saw a couple comments asking that, and I also saw a comment saying that Jimmy Chang was getting his GPS readings about 5 miles an hour faster or slower than what the display is showing. This is also the second time I'm recording this range test. I recorded the whole thing, finished it. All the files were corrupted. All the footage was bad. Like, I couldn't recover any of it. So I'm recording this again. So I kind of know about what range it's going to get. And I also know that this display is actually pretty close to the GPS speed, at least in my testing with this app I have pulled up. So we'll look at that as soon as I start riding, but yeah, let's get going. As always, I'm riding in the max speed settings. This is mode 3 dual motor. So this will essentially be a minimum range test. This will be to see if you ride as hard as you can on the max settings, what kind of range are you going to get? Like I said, I did a full range test yesterday already. So I kind of know that what the range is going to do, but I won't spoil that for you unless you want to jump to the end already. But I also wanted to look at speed and give you guys a little bit of an update while I ride. So as you can see from the GPS settings, the displayed speed on the included display is only about 2 miles an hour faster than the GPS speed. So actually the included display is pretty close. And in fact, that's what most displays do. Even like the trigger throttles and stuff usually display 1 to 2 miles an hour faster than GPS speed. So either GPS speed is estimating a little low, or the display shows a little bit higher than it is. But in any case, it's close enough where I actually don't feel like it makes me feel better about what I said about it originally. So you can see that the max speed that I've reached so far is displayed on the bottom of the phone display, 31 miles an hour. So that's already lining up pretty well with what I said in the first impressions. Low 30s. It also confirms that Varla was kind of lowballing their max speed. So makes me feel better. If I'd come out here and tested it and it turns out that it's way off from the display, then I would feel bad talking about the speed the way I did. So when I did the range test before, I found a nice little trail that I want to hit again. Let me see if I can find it. I think I need to cross over here. Yeah, I do. I'm always on the hunt for new trails, especially around here where the developments are all pretty new, so there's not really like a lot of established trails already, but you can tell they're putting them in, and you can see some sections of them being constructed right now. So, oh, that's a snake. That was a snake. Yeah, this trail isn't super long, but It's nice, it winds up between all these houses and stuff. Wow, that's a pretty significant grade. Took it at about 12. That's about as steep as you're ever gonna need to do on a scooter. The other thing is that the acceleration on this thing, especially from 0 miles an hour, is fairly disappointing. It feels really slow, but there is a setting to change it. I believe the instruction manual says to not change it, but I am gonna mess with it a little bit. I'm doing this range test with literally 0 changes to the P settings other than changing it from kilometers an hour to miles an hour. So this is like stock, untouched settings for everything. I do want to mess with the P settings a little bit and see if I can give this scooter just a little bit more zip off the line. It definitely needs it, especially compared to like the Mantis 8, which is feels a lot stronger off of the line. It's particularly relevant, especially when it comes to like hill climbing, and especially if you need to start from 0 on a hill. The lack of like get up on that, like right from 0 miles an hour, actually it doesn't, could affect how well it climbs hills from a standstill, which could be relevant for some people that need to regularly climb hills, or their house is on a hill and they need to start uphill. I don't think it's awful. I think it does eventually get going, which is nice, that eventually it does pick up. And even on hills, I found that it does, while it starts slow, it eventually does pick up the pace. But still would like to look into getting a little better acceleration out of it. So I will mess with those P settings and cover it either in an update video or in the full review. And the brakes have been okay so far, but there's definitely some issues with like heat dissipation. The small rotors definitely have issues like dissipating heat, and you can feel as a ride goes on, as the scooter heats up and the brakes heat up, that the braking time gets higher and higher. And I know I'm always pushing hydraulic brakes, but I think with the speeds that this scooter does, you could make a case for hydraulic brakes. The price is so good though on this scooter that like, even the little things that aren't 100% for me, like I take with a grain of salt because of how good the price is. I mean, $1,000 for a dual motor scooter that does over 30 miles an hour. I mean, that you're hard pressed to come by that, like anywhere. Like as soon as you hit that 30 mile an hour mark, it feels like people start wanting $1,500, $2,000. On these roads that are less smoothed out, like that have more like rough feel to them, you can definitely feel the solid tires more. Like it definitely's got more like vibration going on than pneumatic tires would. But the Mantis 8, which is like the most direct comparison that I've tried to this scooter, as far as like big bump handling, this scooter does a very similar job to that. It just picks up the small stuff a little bit more. But then again, on my last ride, on the ride that the footage got corrupted on, I hit like a piece of metal and like a little piece of it stuck in the tire. And I was like, and when I pulled it out, it was stuck in probably a good quarter or half an inch, like something that would have popped just about any pneumatic tire. Like I completely missed this piece of metal in the road. And so, you know, seeing that made me go, okay, I'm glad that there's solid tires on this, because otherwise I'm walking home a scooter with a front flat. So it's kind of the reason I've always been such a huge proponent of solid tires. I mean, when worst comes to worst, you'd take a little bit of ride quality decline to know that you can get to your destination. And it'll also be interesting to see how fast these tires wear down with constant riding. My plan is to use this scooter pretty consistently for the next little bit, and I will see what kind of wear and tear it gets. And it'll be interesting to see how available replacement tires are, and if they're hard to replace, or if you're just going to end up having to buy like a full hub. I don't know. I can't imagine replacing these solid tires is going to be easy at all. But we'll see how long they take to wear down. So the other thing I wanted to address before it gets too far into the ride is my thumb starts to get numb after a while with the reach that this scooter has by default. I haven't moved around like the positioning of the brakes and the throttle at all, but a change I'm definitely going to make is I'm going to swap the locations. Here, let me stop for a second. I'm 100% going to swap the locations of the thumb throttle and the brake lever here, because you want to get more leverage on the brake lever anyway, so swapping these should make my reach a little bit better. If I put my hand right in the slots that they have on this handle and then reach, it's like a full extension for me to reach this. I have to even choke up to not get like really bad thumb fatigue. I have to choke up a bit. So another reason why I do like trigger throttles more, but luckily you can pull all these off and swap the locations, which is something I'm definitely going to do, and I recommend people with smaller hands to do as well. I also definitely want to switch out these grips. I've locked them down pretty tight, but they still slowly rotate because they're essentially slide-on grips that they've added a little like disc at the end to try and like lock them down. They're not the same style as other locking grips. So they do slide around a lot easier than other locking grips. Wouldn't really put them in the same category. Needs a little bit of a spruce up. Oh, this goes into the bike park around here, doesn't it? Here's your off-road test. I genuinely don't know where I'm going, but I guess I'll just keep following this. Oh. Wide tires aren't bad for traction. A little slippy, slidey, but I think any scooter would be on this kind of like loose, packed dirt and stuff. Wow. Just keeps going, huh? Where did it go, I wonder? Should I keep going? I guess I'll keep going. Well, now we have a legit Varla Pegasus off-road test here. Somehow found my way on an off-road trail. Let's see, let me go up this way. Oh, I'm already beating the crap out of this scooter. Just disclaimer, this is not what this scooter is for, but I guess that's why I'm here, right? Push it past what it's supposed to do. I have no idea if it's gonna do this hill. I don't think it will. Oh! One last little push. Not bad, not bad. Woo! We'll have to see what the damage is here. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, then probably almost at the end anyway, so I'll just spoil it. Yesterday, I got just over 15 miles of range, so around 16. It was like 15.8, I think, so almost 16. And it was around this like 12 or 13 mile mark that I started to notice a like palpable decline in top speed and stuff, because I'm still dual motor, ride mode 3, and it's not reaching up into the 30s anymore. So I imagine it's going to be dying here in the next, well, if it does what it does yesterday, then 3 or 4 miles. So I'm going to try and get back as close to my apartment as I can before it dies. It is all downhill from here, so I actually should be able to milk a little extra range. I've been mostly going uphill, so I should get better mileage than I would otherwise. Okay, approaching the 15 mile mark. So it died. If it does what it did, the other range test, then it should die within basically the next mile. The only thing that's a little sketchy about it dying is that it'll just be going, and then the motor, like, it doesn't like crawl to a stop like a lot of other scooters. It literally just cuts out. The thing will literally just stop. It'll, like that right there. That's literally what I was saying. It's funny, when I was recording the last test, the exact same thing happened, where I was like, let's see, I'm curious how close we are, and then like literally cuts out. So it'll do this thing where it like cuts out, and then it'll be able to go for a little bit. But yeah, that's almost identical mileage. That's like maybe half a mile shorter than what I did the other day. And this is where we started. So I actually timed that pretty well. So yeah, just over 15 miles both times I did the range test. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not quite as far as the Mantis 8 got, but I think this has a little bit higher top speed. Anyway, I'll save the Mantis comparisons for its own video, but overall, range is not bad. I will show on the screen right now a quick overview of the ride. And I reached a top speed of 32. Yesterday was 33, so that was pretty consistent. So yeah, super consistent across 2 days, and really reasonable range that you can definitely extend out to like 20 or 25 miles if you ride a little less aggressively. This is definitely the minimum amount of distance that you're going to be able to get. So awesome. Well, thanks for riding along with me, and I will see you in the next video.